they just returned last week from Paraguay. Anybody been to Paraguay before, South America? So it's a long way away. We're doing some work bringing transformational leadership to the country, to the people in Paraguay. It's a long plane flight, long ride. So speaking of travel, there was a jet that had to bring some VIPs from Boston to Washington, D.C. to meet with the president. So there was a career politician, the CEO of a software company, a priest, and a middle schooler. And the pilot came in the back of the plane and said, look, the odds of us having any problems here are like you being hit by lightning. In fact, there's 5 of us on this flight, and there's only 4 parachutes. So don't worry, sit down, put your seatbelts on, it's going to be an easy ride. Jet takes off. Wouldn't you know it, within a half hour, there's a horrible storm. In fact, lightning hits the aircraft. The aircraft's out of control. The pilot's fighting with the controls, but it's out of control. The pilot comes out of the cockpit, runs to the back, says, look, I'm really sorry, but the Air Force has invested a lot of money in me. Grabs a parachute, says, good luck to you. I gotta go. Puts the parachute on, ditches out. Right away, the CEO of the software company, he jumps up. He says, I'm changing the world. I'm sorry, but I gotta go. Takes a parachute, he jumps out. Now the career politician stands up. Says, look, one of you is going to be disappointed, but one of you is going to be really happy. I'm the smartest man in the world. Puts the straps on, and he jumps out. So now the priest says to the middle schooler, I've had a long, rewarding life. Take the last parachute. You go. And the middle schooler goes, don't worry. The career politician, the smartest man in the world, he just put on my backpack. So the point of the story is, what's networking about? We're all about networking, right? Does anyone know what the most important part of networking is? It's know, like, and trust. So I'm assuming you're here because maybe you're looking for a job, or you're thinking about that career in the future. Everyone said they were students, so networking not working doesn't mean that it's not working. It means you're not working, but you will be. And networking is something you can take with you throughout your life. In fact, I suggest that when you have children, one of the first things you teach them as they become young adults is the power of networking. Because it's not just online networking. Online is great. But the real networking that's going to be more powerful is what we're doing right now, having eye contact. And then when you have a conversation with someone, having that emotional connection with them. Because that's how you establish the know, like, and trust. So think about this for a moment. Has anyone experienced a networking event at all? Because I understand that you're students, and I'm going to certainly give you things that you can utilize. Where people pass cards at a networking event, and then maybe after there's a cocktail party, and there's somebody saying, I win, my stack of cards is this big. And then the other one goes, no, no, I win, mine is this big. It's not about having the most cards. What matters is having the 5 that are really going to make a difference, where you can connect after and have the know, like, and trust. Where maybe even years later, you've established that relationship just from networking, where you afterwards, you had lunch, you had coffee, whatever it is, and you know what each other wants, you know what each other's about. Those 5 cards mean more than the 50 where somebody's hammering you with email newsletters or constantly coming after you. Who's seen that State Farm commercial that used to run? Right, Jake with State Farm? At 3 in the morning with the khakis and the red shirt? Yeah. Right, Jake with State Farm? So I've gone to networking events, and the person comes up, and right away, they say, hi, I'm Jake. I'm with State Farm. Do you have a car? Do you have a house? Do you have a spouse? Do you need life insurance? And then there's, I mean, it's like, dude, how about hello, how are you, what brings you here? Right away, they're selling at the networking event. They think they're going to sell you, the car guy. They're going to sell you the car right there. I mean, does it really work that way? How do you feel? Do you feel that you would just get sold immediately with something? Is that something that matters? So it's know, like, and trust. KLT. So just something to consider and think about. What I'd like to do is maybe give you a little bit about my story. And what I'd like you to think about in terms of my story is, if I could do it, anybody could do it. Because this is anything but a straight up career path kind of a thing. Now, I don't have tattoos and I don't wear an earring any longer, but I'm a graduate of Kings Point, the Merchant Marine Academy. So that's the 5th Federal Academy that no one knows about. Everybody knows about West Point, the Naval Academy, Air Force Academy, maybe the Coast Guard Academy in Connecticut, but there's also Kings Point, the Merchant Marine Academy. So I worked on ships for over 10 years. So deep sea super tankers like the one you see there. And I moved from that into oil trading and oil refining. Now, how do you make that transition? Well, during my years at sea, I also went to school for an MBA, and I attained an MBA. And about halfway through my shipping, I realized that I wanted to have a shoreside career. So pre-internet, old school, library, I looked up who are the leaders of and the owners of companies that own these ships, the banks that footed the bill for these ships, the companies that hired these ships. In an old-fashioned typewriter, typed up letters, and I sent out like 20 letters to these presidents and CEOs. Of those 20, I was able to have meetings with 5. So not a bad hit ratio. I was really disappointed I didn't have all of them. The approach wasn't, I'm looking for a job. The approach was, I'm a ship captain, I'm at sea, I'm looking to have a shoreside career, I'd like to have your advice. Is there any way we can meet? That was the pitch. And for all of them, I didn't ask any of them for a job. All I was asking them for was advice. So think about this as you continue on in what you do, because that's not anything that you can't do anywhere you want to go. And now, the tools and the access is so much easier. And we'll talk about that in a minute. From the original company that I worked with, I established a relationship with the leaders of that company quite rapidly. And I moved through a bunch of different companies, but through the thread of all of these was the people I established. As they moved to different companies, I moved with them. So this was started with Wall Street refiner type companies, where I was like the guy in the ship. They were all paper trading, and I was saying, hey, you actually own something with oil in it. Where's it going? You know, what are we doing with the thing? To an actual company that built refineries and ran refineries and things of that nature. Through the buying and selling process, because I was now involved at a senior level in buying and selling companies, we were bought by another company. And that's when about 15 years ago I started my own business in consulting, coaching, and speaking. And that's what I've been doing for the last 15 years. So now we went from the shipboard, Navy-style thing, command and control, to Wall Street refiners, to real refiners, to having my own business. So through that evolution, can you imagine how the networking experience might have changed in my mind, and how my interaction and how I would have to have clients and customers, and the understanding of establishing relationships? So I'd like you to consider that in terms of yourself and your background, how might that work? For example, let's say you have an industry of interest. Maybe you have 5 or 10 companies that are in that. Would you go online and take a look at who the board of directors are? Would you maybe take a look at those people and where they went to school? Would you maybe go on your LinkedIn profile and see of all the people that you know, where the spider web of LinkedIn that they show you, how far away are you from people, and figure out how to reach out to them in terms of networking. So I'll just tell you one of the stories I tell and some of my clients. A few of them are accountants, and they come to me and they say, so many people are doing their business now online, I'm running out of clients for my accounting business. So I say, well, how much networking do you do? So I say, well, 3 or 4 times a year I go to conferences. I say, oh, who attends those conferences? I say, other accountants. I say, oh, well, how much business do you get from other accountants? Oh, none. I say, so that's not really networking. That's catching up on software, the latest laws. I said, who are your ideal clients? Who are your referral sources? Networking means going where those people are. So who's a referral source for an accountant? Can anybody think of a referral source for an accountant?
I have a startup.
Startup. So that might be a lawyer that might help the startup person themselves. a financial advisor maybe. So you start thinking, who are my referral sources, who are my ideal clients, where do they go, what events do they attend, and that's where you go. You don't go to a place where there's a bunch of accountants, not to get business, maybe to learn and find out the latest tips and tricks, but you're not going to get referrals from other accountants. You might, but odds are you won't, and all the times they said to me, well, I don't really get business from accountants. So again, think that through. As you say to yourself, I'm going to do professional networking, who are you going to do it with? Now, is anyone right now in the stage of looking for a job, like actively looking for a job? Anyone? Okay. And maybe looking for an internship or thinking about an internship? Some others? Okay. I promise I won't tell anybody. Have you ever had a conversation with a family member or friend and said, hey, I'm looking for an internship. Would you be able to help me? Or, Uncle Bill, I'm looking for a job. Would you be able to help me? Has anyone had a conversation like that? Maybe the name's different.
Yeah.
You're not empowering anyone when you say something like that. Think about what empowering means. The person you're asking, as most of us in this room, we truly want to help each other. We really do. But if you say to somebody, I'm looking for a job, can they really help you? But if you say, I'm looking for a position as, what's your field?
Programming.
Programming. As a programmer in any specific industry? Okay. I'm looking for a job as a programmer in finance. Would you know anyone at, do you have any companies you're looking to work in?
Bank of America.
At Bank of America. So you have 3 companies. Bank of America, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley. I'm looking to be a programmer. Now you've empowered them because they can think in their portfolio, or their head, or on LinkedIn, or when they're out networking, this person that I met, or I just met, I can introduce, what's your name? Ariza. Nice to meet you, my friend. Good luck with that. So my point is that's an empowering statement. So you see the difference between I'm looking for a job versus I'm looking to be at, and name 3 to 5 companies. You could do that through a message on LinkedIn to somebody. You could do it through your family. You could do it through your friends. And the same thing for an internship. I'm looking for an internship as, did you raise your hand before?
Yeah, for internship.
Right, what kind of industry, what would you like to do? What is it that you would like to do?
Accounting.
Accounting, any kind of company, particularly, size, industry?
I'd be more into like boutique firms. So.
Okay. So again, not I'm looking for an internship. I'm looking for an internship as an accountant in a smaller size boutique company, and you're empowering people. So in how you language, in how you network, you can have people help you. So think of the classic multi-level marketing kind of things that you see, where it's word of mouth. Why not have people help you? Isn't it the concept of Facebook, Twitter, and everything else? So why not have these kinds of communications be what helps you in your networking when you think about that? How we doing, okay? Making sense? So I'd like you to think about a couple of things having to do with networking. We talked about where to network, which was that accounting example. The whole thing about online, online's great. What I love about online is, once you know where to network, look up the networking event itself and see who the people are that are attending, and then look them up. I'm not suggesting you become a stalker. I'm suggesting you do research. Again, it's all in the language. Not that much difference between the two. One might be more illegal than the other. But we're looking at people and we're checking them out, depending on what is your agenda. So for like me, if I have a networking event that I'm attending, I'm looking up who's attending, and I'll have 5 people that I know that I want to meet in the crowd of 50 or 100. I'm going to figure out where those 5 people are. I'll get there early. I'll meet with the people that are putting the event together. I'll say, are these 5 people still coming? I have the list. It's on my phone. I actually have an iPhone, believe it or not. Say, put it there, put it right in front of them. Obviously, I don't ask that right away.